Welcome back, brothers, tourists, and ladies, to another exciting episode of The Chapter House, the Old Glory Club's look into the men and chapters that make up the Old Glory Club. Joining us this week, for the second time, is Campus Martius from the great state of Ohio. And representing is Cal Trask. How are you, sir?
I'm just dandy. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's great to talk to you again. And joining us for, I believe, the first time is Dirk Pit. That is not Dirt Pit. That is a pit filled with dirks, as in the knives. How are you, sir?
Very good. Thank you for having me.
So, real quick, what's that name come from?
Couple of different ways you could interpret it. Like you said, Pit of Knives. Alternatively, a very good character in a series of novels by Clive Cussler, if you're a fan of fiction.
Oh, well, how about that? Shows that I am not well read enough to be running this show, but here we go. I'm here anyway. Well, I'm glad you could put me in my place. I appreciate that. It's good to have Campus Martius back again. I don't think, so much has happened in Ohio over the last couple of years. It's kind of hard to remember like where and when, what was happening. Like you guys had the disaster of the train derailment that was handled as poorly as possible by the Biden administration. You guys have a literal anthropomorphic piece of human excrement running for governor. And what's the most recent one? The Haitians from Springfield. But I'm sure we'll get to all that. But before we do, guys, how's the last year been for you? What's been standing out in your experience over the last year of Campus Martius operation?
Well, one thing we've learned is that we are kind of actually one of the bigger chapters in terms of surface area. Certainly, I think New Ivy League would actually have us beat there. But so a lot of it's kind of figuring out what works different, how it works differently than a more concentrated area. A lot of chapters are based out of particular cities. So the past, I became president at the beginning of this year, and my focus has kind of been encouraging regular regional meetups and the hope is that each of the various regions where we have people in is able to act pretty autonomously. As it stands, we are still very, very Columbus heavy. I'm actually up in the Northeast area as well as Dirk. There's a handful of us out there, but even up there, we're kind of spread out. We don't have as much going on in the Southwest as we would have thought we would. So, like I said, very Columbus heavy. As well as that, we're kind of getting a feel for kind of how there's kind of different cultures between, particularly the Northeast and the Central area. I'm finding that the guys in the Northeast, not monolithically, but we tend to be more interested in kind of arts and cultural stuff, whereas the Central guys are all very, they're political encyclopedias down there. Columbus being the beating heart of Ohio politics. So it's been interesting kind of getting to know just the different ways like people think, even from just 100 miles away.
Yeah, this is something I've said on the show before, but one of my favorite authors, when he first made it to America, said that the most amazing thing about America is how many different Americas there are. And, those regional differences, though, the television and the social engineering regime has done its best to eliminate them. They still exist. And it's good to hear that you can run into them even in your own state. As for the different regions, so you've been breaking them up mostly in cities. Have you guys adopted a formal method of that? I know some chapters have governors, some chapters have like lodges? Have you guys been doing anything formal? Has it just kind of worked out that way?
So the desire is to form a lodge system. However, right now we're so heavily Columbus that we don't even have enough guys in kind of the other areas to make up a lodge. So I mean, the way we're thinking is for a lodge to start a lodge, we kind of would like to have at least 5 people relatively close to each other in order to institute one. And as I said before, the Northeast, there is probably about 5 of us, but there's only a couple of us really within close proximity to each other. So we haven't been able to get that going really effectively yet. So if anybody is listening from, the Northeast or the Southwest or any other region in Ohio, please inquire. If you're in Columbus, go somewhere else. We don't want you anymore.
Just too many people from
Just
Columbus.
kidding.
Well, that's great. I'm glad to hear that you guys are growing. The phenomena of people being centered in one geographic area. I mean, I know Ohio has a lot of cities. Just Cincinnati, Dayton, Toledo, Cleveland, Akron. These are all kind of like, when you think of cities in Columbus, all these kind of come to mind, which is interesting that you guys have so many recognizable cities for a state that I would say is not quite as recognizable. But one of the big ones that you guys wanted to talk about tonight, and I think this is a great topic to revisit, is how things have been going in Springfield since Trump took office. Now, obviously, a lot of hoopla was made about the Haitians that were dumped there during the Biden administration, and the hoopla was made by the Trump presidential campaign as kind of way to justify running on mass deportations, which, while efforts are being made, well, we don't have to go into that. So yeah, has Springfield been rid of the cannibal menace, or is it still largely being terrorized by people from the dark part of Espanola Island?
Yeah, so I'm not on, as of the past few weeks, I haven't been on Twitter, so I can't verify the particular date this controversy kicked off. But I do think at this point we are just about exactly 2 years out from the meows and yelps heard across the world, the dogs and cats being eaten and the coverage thereof. We all also remember the videos of the guy dragging the goose from the public pond, like obviously he was getting ready to fry it up or whatever. And in the intervening time, I know Dirk has been tracking the situation there rather closely. So I'd like to give him an opportunity now to let us know where we stand at this point.
Yes, the poaching continues, in theory, of the geese in the Springfield area. Snyder Park used to be home to bountiful geese, which you could go with your relatives and feed with a loaf of bread, and now they're all gone. But more seriously, what I would say is that tracking is sort of off in terms of how many are coming and going through Springfield. Conservative estimates and sort of left-leaning or liberal publications are going to say somewhere around 10,000. The estimates are probably closer to about 15 to 20 in terms of how many Haitians actually entered Springfield during that massive influx time. And this actually came about, just a little bit of background too, as a result of cooperation with a national organization called the Welcome Initiative. So Springfield tried to piggyback on economic growth that was being facilitated, through the Montgomery County, Dayton area, as part of the Dayton Regional Israel Trade Alliance, which brought some drone manufacturing into the area, aviation contracts. part of that was a federal stipulation that stated that the workforce needed to be stable in order to maintain the contract. So the Welcome Initiative, which was led by a guy named David Lubell nationally, advocated with the Obama administration to set up these complex sort of pipelines as part of their agreement, and they would help local municipalities like Dayton sort of construct frameworks for how to facilitate mass immigration into their area to create the quote unquote stable workforce. Springfield saw what they saw as a sort of breadwinner for bringing industry back after NAFTA and international trade had led most of the manufacturing jobs leave. So they were enticed by this idea of, if we create a stable workforce pipeline, the jobs will come back to us, rather than the other way around of creating economic situations that would be more lucrative for businesses, and then the populations come back to the jobs. So that was sort of the impetus for a lot of this. And in short, because of that, the Springfield leadership in the city, the commissioners, have been a giant stonewall against any sort of action to alleviate the massive strain in the city from emergency services and all kinds of other issues, traffic issues from flipped vehicles and municipal 25, 35 mile per hour zones, that sort of stuff.
So, you're saying they brought the people in there hilariously thinking that they could get a workforce out of them. And I know that one of the big employers in Springfield of these people was Tyson Foods. Is that accurate?
Yeah, Tyson. I believe Dole is another one. But a lot of the local manufacturing hubs have also jumped onto it as well. So you've got a company there called McGregor Metal that has been employing Haitians as well. And they've sort of persisted on this argument there of like, well, the local Springfield workforce is unreliable, they call off, they have drug addiction problems. And to some extent, Springfield has had historical issues, right? Since the 90s with these free trade agreements and deals that have left a middle-class manufacturing city high and dry and empty, drug trade moved in. But it has not been helped by facilitating a massive influx of roughly like a third to half of the population at 20,000 into the city, which has increased, crime and emergency service issues on that front. But part of what you're seeing right now in Springfield is actually a complete flat line of income tax, which is a more interesting and sort of hilarious outcome of this whole debacle. Is the city commissioners who signed up with the local Welcome Initiative chapter run by a guy named Carl Ruby, who used to be a pastor over at Cedarville University. He gets, fired from there. Long story short, he starts this Welcome Initiative to try to be a local chapter of this national arm. And the Springfield commissioners sign a resolution to essentially adopt the Welcome Initiative pattern and framework and help facilitate this, have a little bit more lax, sort of enforcement on rules and laws. Traffic violations get, overlooked. Police are looking the other way when they stop a Haitian who's unlicensed, that sort of stuff. So that's kind of the framework for it. Yeah.
So it kind of sounds like, this would be, in a just world, this would be a scandal that would cost a lot of the city leaders their jobs, because what we are describing as a class of people that is above the law because they're willing to come in and work for local manufacturers. Now, I kind of already know the answer to this, and everybody listening is going to know the answer to this the moment I ask the question. But is the these people, these manufacturers in the town, the steel plant, Tyson, are these guys offering like high wages or like even livable wages to the people of Springfield? Or is this one of those things again where they say, oh, Americans are so lazy, they don't want to work for, minimum wage in a time where inflation is still rocking everyone?
Well, yeah, I mean, like you said, you hit the nail on the head. These are jobs that are paying $10, $12 an hour, something of that nature. So when these workers are being pipelined in through a temp agency directly from Haiti under TPS authorization, they're given low pay. They're being put into houses that are government subsidies for vouchers. So that's like 10, 15 sometimes laborers to a residence. And they're being transported as well. So the temp agency, typically, most famously, the one I believe is called First Diversity Staffing, they would own the residence, they would own the transportation to get them to and from the job. So they're taking cuts out of the laborer, the Haitian's paycheck, in order to pay for all of this stuff, in addition to kind of having them as an indentured servitude class. So even from the standpoint of the Haitians, it's not really a lucrative deal, maybe better than what they were getting over in Haiti, but still it's completely undercutting the domestic labor in the city. And it's also pushing out people in the city from housing. So a lot of the shelters and emergency service programs are seeing increases, sometimes 10% more. Springfield, like heritage citizens that are homeless, they've been pushed out of their rental unit because the landlord can secure more money through multiple government vouchers for a single property than they could for just having a rent from a single occupant.
So, I mean, this sounds like a nightmare scenario. It also sounds like something that the people who engineer this sort of thing want to export to every town and small city in the nation. So, I mean, again, like this was started years ago under Biden administration, and has it just been churning along? Have there been any updates?
I would say, obviously the biggest update is the dissolution of the TPS status for Haiti, though that hasn't resulted directly in, a mass deportation of all of them. In fact, a lot of them are hunkering down. So previously, a couple of weeks ago, you would, in the city, you would see Haitians driving around, doing the Uber Eats deliveries, that sort of stuff, going to Planet Fitness, spending their grocery stipends on, Walmart products. But now they're all hiding. They're all sort of hunkered down in their residences and homes. And part of that is local organization. So you have a lot of left-leaning activist groups that are, as we would expect, tracking ICE movements, notifying people within their network where ICE is within the city if they get called, and then also helping deliver food. There's been mass call outs in these activist networks for food deliveries to residences, collecting donations for needed products, in addition to standard advocacy, going to the city commission meetings and complaining about how terrified they are of ICE agents.
So I mean, obviously the town wanted these people there, and they still want them there. There's been no change in tone. It's just this is great having our little slave labor force that lives off the backs of the taxes that we collect from everyone else, and they don't seem to care that their own citizens are now being made homeless.
Yeah, it's quite a sticky topic. Unfortunately, is on the one hand, your mayor, Mr. Robert Rue, and his commissioners are very, we'll say, positive towards the Haitian community. They speak at Haitian events. Rob Rue, the mayor, owns a funeral service, so he's been caught on mics in some of these Haitian funerals talking to the residents about specific issues that they face pertaining to their Haitian heritage. And that's sort of his main voter base at this point, that and probably the Chamber of Commerce. So from that standpoint, they're still very much interested in it. And I would say, in addition, because of the nature of how this started with the federal criteria on stable workforce, they're now in Springfield moving towards having another sort of drone manufacturing hub come into Springfield specifically, rather than neighboring Montgomery and Dayton. So I see this as the Chamber of Commerce trying to protect a labor pipeline until they think politically it will get stabilized again, and then they can bank on additional industry coming into the city. Because as stated, despite the massive influx in worker population that they plan for, income tax rates have completely flattened. So from a city standpoint, they have no funding for emergency services. Their fire department is completely funded by federal grants, and they have regular brownouts where sections of the city during parts of the evening will not get coverage. And in addition to that, they can't even staff it per charter regulation. So they're in violation of their charter. They can't support supportive services. The labor force just isn't paying the taxes that they were telling everyone that they would.
I mean, this sounds like one of those situations where the town is Springfield considered a town or a city?
It's a city.
So yeah, it sounds like this would be a perfect opportunity for the state to step in, and dissolve Springfield as its own city and kind of incorporate it under their own rulership until they can, fix what's going on. But I don't know anything about the current state of like Ohio state politics. Is that something that's just, I mean, obviously that's just not going to happen, right?
Yeah. So every couple of weeks, it seems like Governor Mike DeWine is on a camera somewhere insisting that we need these Haitian immigrants. So that's your answer, more or less. I don't know if Dirk has anything to add on that, but
I've got plenty. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just saying. But yeah, so like with that, I would say your biggest hurdle there is actually your local leadership. On the state level, you've got Senator, I believe Kyle Kaler is the guy. So sidebar and sort of additional information to this conversation is that there's credible allegations that Springfield police were going to motels and hotels and directing staff there not to cooperate with ICE, specifically for deportation efforts. This was prior to the formal Supreme Court decision, but after DHS had issued their order change. So they were sort of trying to lay the groundwork, allegedly, for hotel and motel workers to be intimidated against speaking with ICE, which is a federal crime. Kyle Kaler, the state representative for that area, was notified of this by, the witnesses for it, who also reported it to ICE. And this sort of response was, go tell the Springfield News Sun. So you have sort of this, even from a state level, this controlled narrative, controlled action in which they're not wanting to mess with this base at all. And it's really crippling any sort of action there, because SPD has been ordered to not keep certain demographic information for traffic stops and arrests that would facilitate ICE arrests or, ICE investigations. The prosecution and the judicial arm of the Clark County area is throwing out cases that are misdemeanor offenses, which, as we know, 3 of them would lead to automatic deportation. So they're sort of, stacking the deck in a way that is dereliction of duty and violation of oaths all around. But as you stated, I think, it's just a lack of morality.
So I mean, what you're like laying out is that the entire governing apparatus of Springfield, Ohio, is completely illegitimate. They're operating like entirely as basically a low-wage labor farm for the local businesses. That
would be one, I think, very accurate assessment of the situation. And to further back that up, the unaccountability of it, the city manager is currently under criminal investigation right now with the state for allegations of sexual battery. Allegedly, I say allegedly, documents that were obtained indicate he may have, after a commission meeting, gone to, a back room in City Hall where a staffer was sleeping, and then placed his genitals on that staffer's face, and photographs may or may not have been taken. And this is a guy who gives himself, $20,000 raises over a 2 to 3 year period during all of this influx. So there's definitely an aura of like untouchability, but I think in this regards, at least for his one specific incident there could be legal consequences.
Yeah, I mean, it's that would be just a nice aside, but it sounds like the people of Springfield would be quite justified in erecting a giant gallows and decorating it with all of the people who run the city. Has there been like any pushback from the citizens, or are they just what are they doing to try and are they trying to change this?
Yeah, I think they're trying to do it within the confines of what they have access to, right? So one of the tools that they regularly use is to attend, and it sounds kind of stupid in this regard, but to attend the commission meetings and air issues or grievances on the public comment section, so it becomes a matter of record. But they also are organizing behind the scenes. One of the most unique situations I saw was, in one instance, a Haitian market was operating as a nightclub behind closed doors, after hours, and obviously zoning and permit violation there locally, but it's also illegal because they don't have a liquor license, etc. So multiple crimes happening on that, allegations of prostitution operating in these circles as well. And the local residents were organizing, going out into the streets, when they knew the nightclub was operating, because it would also change location, and they would coordinate on Facebook to call SPD and county police on the locations when it would shift, so that they would have to have a police presence to respond, because it's, they can't deny the calls. They can only try to, deny the prosecution side, or, encrypt the communication as they have for dispatch so that the public doesn't see it. But in that instance, they were able to shut down that nightclub, and zoning had to revoke the permit for the actual market that was legally operating in the storefront. Minimal action, minimal success, but that's what they've been able to do so far.
Well, I mean, it's encouraging to see that the citizenry is at least trying to get something done. Now, you mentioned county police. How is the county involved in what's going on in the city? Is this something that they're a part of? Is this something that they can't really put a lot of influence over?
It depends entirely on the jurisdiction. So anything within city limits technically gets an SPD response, and the sheriff and county police are not going to get involved in that. If something spills over to the county level, there is more likely to be a legitimate, in my opinion, police response with arrests and potential charges, and more public, we'll say, transparency. One of the things that happened during the Biden administration and during the kerfluffle, we'll say, nationally about Springfield, was that Highway Patrol went down to Springfield, Ohio. They said for a myriad of reasons, right? A, because of the increase in traffic problems and traffic crimes. But in addition to that, Governor DeWine instituted his huge sweeping initiative to train all these Haitians in driver's ed simulator VR video games or whatever it was. So on that front, that was the public facing. Behind the scenes, I believe State Highway Patrol helped SPD actually encrypt their communication so that the public couldn't, as they were previously, listening in to dispatch communiques as to where and what was going on with Haitian traffic stops and what police were actually doing about it. So it really depends on where the issue is as to if county police or the sheriff's department can get involved.
Oh, so that's interesting. So you'd already mentioned that the SPD are, as you say, in on it. but the county police are still enforcing laws on these Haitians when they are operating outside of the city of Springfield.
It seems that way, yeah. One of the things that was noted recently was while SPD is sort of maintain not an official non-cooperation stance with ICE, they're not reporting to ICE, obviously, any sort of immigration information about Haitians. This includes situations where Haitians have been for months driving illegally without valid driver's licenses, as when DHS issued their order, all of their driver's licenses became invalid right then and there, independent of the Supreme Court ruling. They had to wait really just for determination on if they would get to stay in the country. So they were all driving for months illegally. And SPD knew this. They were not in a position or stance that they were going to arrest anybody for this. Now, contrast this with neighboring German Township or the county police, and what we've seen in the last month is since the Supreme Court ruling, when they stop a Haitian, they are calling ICE. And that's what is, I believe, actually led to a lot of the arrests that we've seen in the city from ICE officers.
Yeah, okay. So that's, I guess, the next logical place to go here. So you're saying that, you are seeing Haitians getting deported out of Springfield. It is something that's begun to happen. Can you describe what the operation has looked like so far? Has it been successful, or is it kind of a slow trickle sort of thing?
So far, it's been a slow trickle. So I think what a lot of the residents would like is something like a Minneapolis style, activity with mass mobilization on every street. That does not appear to be what's happening. What seems to be occurring is initially there were ICE agents or officers stationed in Columbus in hotels. And that's what was being shared on the left-wing channels, was their locations in relation to the city. And then what they would do is they would sort of wait to be called. So SPD is not going to make the call. What ICE will do is, if they get a call from German Township or the county, they'll come, they'll make the arrest so long as the individual is being held, which thankfully for German Township, that was the case. In addition to that, ICE does seem to be executing searches in specific cases, but then SPD is also on site, though the commissions have been very tight-lipped about why they're there. They don't seem to be obstructing anything, but the commissioners and the mayor have also been very specific that they're not assisting either. So it seems maybe they're just some sort of communique about general ICE presence, and then law enforcement from SPD will be there just to sort of make sure the area is safe from other residents interacting with the arrest situation. But I think in total, they're looking at still in the double digits of how many people have actually been arrested and detained. We still haven't reached anywhere near where you would need to be to sort of return everything to the status quo.
So you said before that a lot of these Haitians are just kind of digging in, and they're keeping their heads down, not really leaving their homes or leaving Springfield in order to kind of try to wait out the Trump administration, with the idea that, when and the same thing with the people who run the city, that they're expecting that the next administration is going to just allow them to continue to replace their residents with foreigners for the business interests there. Now, with the left-wing organizations helping them, is there so you said there hasn't been anything like Minneapolis in Springfield, and it doesn't really seem like your state government is interested in doing anything at the moment. Do you guys have any ideas to whether or not these upcoming elections will kind of change that?
I couldn't imagine that would be the case. On one hand, you have Vivek Ramaswamy, who he may be friendly to a certain level of deportations, but we all know his stance on kind of H-1Bs and such, and I would not have any faith whatsoever that if there's any sort of legal pretense for these people being here, that he would bother uh, upsetting the city or the machine down there in order to um, deport them. But however, as it stands right now, it looks like he may not take the governorship, and rather, I think last I looked, Amy Acton had a narrow lead, who is a Democrat and obviously is not going to do anything about the Springfield situation. So certainly, our hopes are not going to be placed in our state governments to correct this for any time in the foreseeable future.
Well, I'm sorry to hear it. It's good to hear that the Springfield residents are trying to do something, although it seems to be more of a treat the symptom and not the cause sort of reaction. Now, is this something that is talked about a lot in Ohio, or is this kind of just, in its own world in Springfield?
It's not something that I see a lot of coverage on. I mean, I only ever see it really discussed in the circles we're in. So, yeah, I'm not sure what's going to befall the place exactly. Certainly, it had a lot of publicity there, and just before the election, and I think we were all really hoping something would come of it. But, and I mean, to be fair, it looks like maybe there is some sort of effort to make some good things happen down there. But if the rest of the country is any reflection, it's simply not going to be enough. And there's if you're on social media, there's a new story to get sucked into every day, and it's kind of hard to expect the general population to stay fixated on single issues such as the one in Springfield.
Yeah, I mean, especially nationwide, but even in Ohio, it's not a small state by any measure. And I imagine that each city has its own problems that are kind of similar to this. Now, I know that you have a kind of a representative of the Jeet Menace, looking to take over that state and really, flood it with his co-ethnics. Has Ohio been hit hard by the trash of the subcontinent yet?
From what I hear from our guys in Columbus, yeah, there's a good chunk of it. So I'm in the Northeast and the more Cleveland, Akron areas, and these are areas of the state and I mean the country at whole that are already kind of run down, and I don't quite notice it so much up this way. So I imagine, my assumption is that, why bother with cities that are already kind of screwed? But from what I hear, and I hear there's a good chunk in the Dayton area, certainly Columbus, and I think Cincinnati's kind of the same situation as we are up in the Northeast. So,
that's a shame. The stench of the Ganges is now global. It appears, and I know I don't think I asked this of you guys last time you were on here, but yeah. So, kind of shifting gears a little bit. Unless there was you had any finishing thoughts on the Springfield problem?
I don't, Dirk.
I did not know.
Yeah, so the HQ is going to have to be addressed at some point, but we've got a lot of questions these days that need to be addressed in the future, and all the remedies seem to be exactly the same. All the answers, that is. But shifting back a little bit to Campus Martius itself, how's your growth been over the last year?
Over the last year, I think we've had a couple internal things within the club as a whole that caused a sort of halt in membership. Recently, we've picked back up, but as I had mentioned previously, it's still a lot of Columbus guys. Um, so, I mean, yeah, we're just getting small trickles here and there. I expect, after this episode, we'll probably get some inquiries. Um, but,
Now, did we lose Cal? Yeah, there he goes. All right. That's okay. Dirk, how long have you been a part of Campus Martius?
I want to say it's probably been about a year now.
Okay, so you've been in since the last time at least you guys were on. Now, Cal was saying that kind of interest has plateaued, which I've said before is kind of the way it is across the whole organization, which is understandable. We're under a nominally friendly or nominally aligned federal government, and so people in general don't feel as under attack as they did during the Biden years, which kind of puts them into this false sense of security. So I don't expect necessarily that it's going to be rip roaring all the time. But what's the demographic makeup of Campus Martius at the moment? Oh, welcome back, Cal.
Yeah, thanks. I meant to say I was having internet issues as of late, but you had just asked about our demographics,
right? Your age demographics. Who where does it skew?
Yeah. So more recently, we've started getting a lot more guys 30, 40s. Younger guys, older ones being the officers 30. So
I'm sorry, Cal, you're cutting in and out quite a bit, and I'm losing
right
the
there in the
majority of
middle.
your message. All right.
Out here over
Yeah,
I'd say
Dirk, you might have to take this one while Cal works on his connections.
Okay, I can try.
Well, okay. Well, while he's doing that, I think what Cal was trying to get at was, demographics kind of run the gamut. We have some younger guys that are, sort of in their 20s and in the prime of their life, so to speak. We've got some people that are in the 30s to 40s, and I would say that's probably what he was getting at, is that might be the majority of membership. We have had a couple of people come in that are a little bit on the upper scale from that as well, a little bit over close to the end of 40 into the other age bracket.
Yeah, I mean, if I remember correctly, last time you guys were on, there were quite a few guys that had families and a bunch of kids. Am I remembering correctly?
That seems to. Oh, Cal, you back?
Yeah, maybe. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah,
Yep.
It sounds like you're back.
Okay. Interrupt me if I start breaking up again. But yeah, last time, yeah, we had a good amount of people with families. We still do. Lately, it seems more single guys trickling in. Although we got a couple on the bench, we'll be looking to bring in that have just started families. So I'd say as far as Campus Martius enduring into another generation, I'm pretty optimistic about that.
Yeah, of course. Something to hand down to your kids or their kids, or their sons, which is always, encouraging to see, especially because that's kind of the whole point of this endeavor. Now, what have you guys been getting into in terms of like chapter activities? I know over the last year, it's been a kind of an experimental phase for a lot of the chapters. We had the Delaware Crossing guys on recently who talked about how they recently started doing a kind of an officers' night or an officers' weekend where they would get away with just the officers in like an Airbnb or something. What have you guys been putting on for your membership?
Uh, so as mentioned before, my goal is for each of the regions to function relatively autonomously until we could formalize a lodge system. Now that said, we still like to do every couple months we like to do like a big group activity. So far every year we've done a Christmas dinner, a little Christmas party. Those have been a great time. Last fall, we did a hike down in the Shawnee State Forest, which, I mean, on my end was a little grueling. Um, I don't know, it's something like an elevation of 1,500 feet. So we're thinking of making that a mandatory event for new members who haven't been with us long enough to have been to the last one. And then most recently, we actually went out and had a celebrated Juneteenth, completely by accident, but nonetheless, we were in Ohio or Columbus having a good time the night of Juneteenth. So yeah, we like to spread out like more statewide events throughout the year, and then just in the intervening period, just to encourage people to meet up with the guys in their respective regions.
Yeah, so you guys are kind of smack dab in the middle between Milwaukee and the eastern part of Virginia. Will you guys have representation at either of those events?
I know I had one guy in my chapter inquire about the Milwaukee event. As for the East Coast Forum, I do not believe anybody has inquired about that yet. But I would be more than happy to refer them there. Me personally, I've been tied down with housework a lot this summer, so I have not had the chance to get away. But I do, if any of my guys are listening, I would encourage them to attend the East Coast Forum. And I've heard last year that was an excellent event. And we're actually we're in the very early phases of putting together something out this way. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. When can we expect to have the clarion call of the Columbus guys go out across the nation for a gathering in Ohio?
Well, actually, we're looking thematically. Cleveland is actually going to work better for what I have in mind. So we're actually probably going to look. We are looking at something in the Cleveland area. But we've been checking out venues, and once we settle on a spot we like, we can come forward with details to Old Glory Club leadership, and as well as we got a small committee of guys with people in chapters throughout the club. So at this point we're looking at venues. Just recently I was inquiring about kind of what people are dropping on venues currently for their events, trying to get a rough idea of what I'm looking for. And I got a lot of good information, and I'm going to take that forward, and hopefully within, I'd say, the next month, I will settle on a spot.
Well, nice. So you're looking for something in 2027?
Yes. So as not to step on the toes of anyone else doing events, we're looking, August seems to be the time where there's not really events going on. So we're looking at next August.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, eventually there's going to come a time where there's going to be so many events that you're not going to have to worry about stepping on each other's toes, because it's going to be impossible not to. But while we're still down in the below a dozen a year, that is a nice consideration, so people can make it around to a bunch of them if they can afford it. Now, I know this is more of a thing that you might be able to do, being in the Northeast, which, Ohio being smack dab between Milwaukee and Eastern Virginia. It seems like the Northeast area is right between Detroit and Pittsburgh. Cleveland seems almost equidistant between the two of them. Do you guys get a lot of exposure to your brothers in Pittsburgh or your brothers in Detroit?
So, not Detroit so much, but we have been in the process of planning a gun range day with a couple of the Pennsylvania chapters. So we're still ironing out details on that, but when that day comes, I look forward to going and being put to shame on the gun range.
Yeah, you got to work your skills up. You got to shine for the campus Martius. So I'm going to take a gander real quick at the super chats. I do have one from Forever Bulk, which is a great name. You should always be bulking. I want to see some thick boys out there. For $20, he says, "God bless the OGC and God bless America," and sends us a salute. Now, we don't have the soundboard for this one, but that's some real American stuff right there. Thank you, Forever Bulk. So, we've got a couple of minutes left. What, besides this event, like, what should we be looking to come out of Campus Martius in the coming year? Because you guys won't be on again until mid or even late 27. Do you have any initiatives in the pipe?
Well, we're just going to continue with to get the regions focusing more, as I've been saying, autonomously. We definitely want to formalize like a lodge system, and at this point we're doing bi-weekly calls, and I'd like to transition for like our meetings. And I'd like to transition to a point where maybe those chapter-wide calls become a monthly occurrence, where weekly or bi-weekly you're just meeting with your guys who are most close to you. And we definitely want to fill out some of the empty areas of the state. I've gotten a couple inquiries from guys in the Toledo area, which is a total dead zone for us. The nearest guy to them is still like 2 hours away. So we want to fill out definitely the Northwest, even like the Southeast and Central East is a little empty as well. So as we said before, Ohio is a big state, and it takes a while to kind of fill out the way we'd like to. So in the meantime, we're just gonna keep working with what we have and see what we can put together in those emptier regions of the state.
Yeah, I mean, the Southeast is a little bit, I can imagine not getting a lot of action down there. I think the first person who ever used the word holler in my presence, and I don't mean like the way that the blacks say it, as in a place that they lived, was somebody from southeastern Ohio, which I've come, the term holler is something I've come to associate more widely with West Virginia. But I mean, Cal, Dirk, are either of you transplants into Ohio?
I am not. My grandparents all came up here from the South, so I am, as Mr. 777 would say, of the woodpile. We don't have a ton of transplants. I know our vice president had lived in New York and California, and then moved into Ohio within the past 5 years or so. Dirk, I don't think you're a transplant, right?
Correct. I am generationally Ohio, so going back at least from my German ancestry, immigrated to Ohio directly here. So,
Oh, I mean, that's great. So, I mean, have you guys gotten down and like met the holler folk down like near South Point and those areas?
I have not. That's an area of the state I don't get around too much, I'll, except only to if we're as a kid taking trips down to Florida, taking 77 down all the way takes you right through the heart of Appalachian, Ohio, just over the Ohio River into West Virginia. So that's about as much exposure as I have there. Although Marietta's right down that way, and we did have a nice meetup down there. It's one of our first meetups, but I wouldn't mind perhaps a camping trip deep in the hollers.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be careful. Those holler folk are a little, well, they're a little territorial. Not that I can blame them, but you know, I don't remember. I mean, the person who told me this was from there, but I heard that South Point was one of the major heroin trafficking hubs in the United States, mostly due to its its proximity to 64 and your ability to kind of take a straight shot up to Detroit. Um, Again, neither of you have been down to that area, huh?
Nope, I have not. But from what I understand of I mean, the kind of drug epidemic it's been, I mean, it hit Ohio hard. I remember, when the fentanyl crisis kind of hit the headlines, I was puzzled because I thought it had killed everyone already years ago. So, but no, that would certainly track.
Yeah, I mean, they say there's a sucker born every day, and I suppose you kind of have to be a sucker to fall into that kind of thing. So, well, there's a fent addict born every day. So yeah, guys, I mean, when you take over the state, you guys can clean up South Point, and at this point, it sounds like you might just be better off giving a general evacuation order to Springfield and then firebombing it into the ground. So, but I'll leave those delicate policy decisions to you guys when you're in the position to make them.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll maybe if Amy Acton becomes governor, maybe I could sweet talk her.
Yeah, there you go. Work your way into her bed, and then you can work your way into her cabinet.
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, that's taking a bullet, man.
Cal can fix her.
The older women, I don't know. The older women have always liked me. The ones my age, though, yeah.
There you go, buddy. You can, you know what? You might not be gunning for a large family, but you can gun for a large legacy and the man who saved Springfield with his pants.
I do it for my people.
That's why we're here, boy. So, the last question I always ask, what is a piece of advice you'd give your brothers?
I would say just always, always meet. Just always, even if you're in a predicament like ours, we're all kind of spread out. Try to make the time. And I think we're at the point where maybe we, up until this point, we've kind of, our approach to recruitment is seek and ye shall find, rather than we don't go advertise the club to people. But we might want to start looking within our own, forming circles within our own localities, and maybe seeing if there's any promise among the people we find there, and then maybe just tapping them on the shoulder privately. So that's something I will probably be looking into in the future. So, and then, just once you, as you start hanging out with everybody, just everything else will click so much easier.
Awesome. Dirk, send us home.
I'll just say, in the wise words of a friend of mine, never stop, never stopping.
There we go. How's that for an aphorism? Well, thank you, Cal. Thank you, Dirk, for representing the Campus Martius chapter of the Old Glory Club tonight. Be sure to join us next week for the Home Range Society of South Central Kansas. Be sure to check out the Best in Slop Entertainment, Pony Express every Thursday, and American Spirits, where all the real thinking gets done, every Monday evening. Thanks again, guys, for joining us.